Hi, guys. Happy Thursday. I'm recording this on Thursday, and as you know, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm just going to publish it right away. I have a lot today to discuss. Well, I feel like I do, so let's see how it goes. I have a mini... Is it a crime? I have a mini spooky story. I guess you'll have to decide if it's a crime story. It's not a murder story necessarily, but my jaw was on the ground when I was reading about this, and so I have to share it. But I'm going to do that last. So apologies to all of you who hate my long rambly intros, because here it comes. And apologies for, I know, I've had a lot of people tell me I need to stop apologizing for things, but I feel like this is it's appropriate to apologize when I just totally vanished from the earth for 4 days. And 2 of those days were days when I usually publish a podcast and a bonus episode. So I apologize, because usually if I'm not going to put an episode out for whatever reason, I'll at least post about it on social media. But I felt so ashamed that I just was consciously, it wasn't oops, I forgot. I was consciously skipping this week. That I haven't even opened Instagram really. So I have been on Patreon, and I did record a 20-minute explanation when I was driving the other day. So Patreon people, here I go apologizing again. Sorry to you as well, because I'm going to say similar things right now for a moment. And then I have and I have a few other things to talk about. And then I got some amazing messages in an email, and then voice messages attached, which I love, from a listener. And I'm not going to share, well, I don't need to give you a breakdown of what I'm going to share. We can just get there when we get there. Now, she's the only one who, God, I'm jumping around too much. Scratch that, guys. Let's rewind. Why I didn't publish anything this week. Total honesty, I didn't want to. I just couldn't get my brain in it. My brain was offline, and I could not get it back online. I also sunburnt my eyelids, and that's not the real reason. I mean, the real reason is that Mark and I kind of had I want to say family weekend, but we have no children. It's just dogs and cat. I always forget cat. But we wanted to Henry's. Wow. I should slow down and start over here. Henry's breathing. Henry's fine. For those who maybe have just tuned in, I don't know. Henry's my dog, one of my dogs, and he has a heart tumor and cancer. And we are, as of now, not going to put him through chemo, radiation, all those things. We are just trying to keep him as happy and comfortable and whatnot. I've talked about it a bunch, so I won't go on there. But his breathing, I've noticed, and Mark has noticed, is a little more labored. He doesn't lie down in the same way and lie in the same positions that he used to, because he's having trouble breathing. The doctor warned us about that. And so we wanted to do his favorite things, which involve walking, going on walks in the dirt roads, and just straight up cuddling. Henry is the most cuddly dog I've ever known in my life. And I've known a lot of dogs in my life. He is the most, he does not give kisses. He will not lick your face or lick your arm or anything. But he wants to be I feel like if I had a kangaroo pouch, he would want to crawl inside of it. He wants to lay on top of you. He nestles his head underneath your chin, buries it in your neck. I mean, he's so affectionate like that. But it's sometimes weird because you almost expect the dog to give you kisses, and he does not, which I personally love. And so we just wanted to do that. We wanted to spend some good time with him, cuddling and walking, and we did. And I was sitting outside with him in Indiana one day this weekend, and closed my eyes and was maybe out there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and came back in, and like my eyes were like stinging a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really think much of it. And then we proceeded that night. Again, sorry, Patreon. I know that I've shared this already, but we proceeded that night. Mark somehow finally convinced me to watch a movie he's been trying to get me to watch forever, because he feels like, he's going to kill me for saying this. He feels like, he's like, we're like penguins. Like penguins, like they find a mate. They actually only mate for a year, I guess, until the baby's born. I learned a lot about penguins from March of the Penguins. Did I say that yet? That he got me to watch it? That's the movie. Wow, this is an ADD-esque bonus already. So hope you can stick with me. He's been trying to get me to watch March of the Penguins forever, because he very sweetly always says, like, I feel like penguins, they always find each other, and they like, stick together and protect each other. He has very sweet reasoning for wanting me to watch it. And I always refused adamantly. Absolutely not. I will not. And it's because I just can't. I'm just not good with animal stuff, happy animal stuff, certainly not sad animal stuff. But really, I mean, even cute like dog videos that he sends me from like Instagram or YouTube, whatever, I generally won't watch them, even if they're totally happy. Sometimes I will, but I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I'm sure I've said this before, but the video from 1970s of the guy who raised the lion, then released the lion into the wild, and then he goes back years later, and the lion like runs up to him and like throws his arms around him because he remembers him. I mean, hysterical, like sobbing, crying. I remember showing it to my students, and they were like, when I was teaching, they were like, what is wrong with you? Like, this is a happy video. I know, I can't do it. It's just something about animals. Like, I don't know, my heart just, I can't explain it. If somebody can explain it to me, like, what is this quality? Why does this happen to me? I'd appreciate it. I literally had a conversation with one of my friends the other day. She was saying how she like has a pest guy coming because she saw a couple cockroaches in her house. And I was like, well, why don't you just like get them outside? She's like, what do you mean get them outside? I was like, when there's a cockroach in my house in Georgia, it happened a lot. Here, not so much, not so frequently. Like, I do the whole put the glass over it, slide, a postcard or something underneath, and just take them outside and throw them outside. She's like, why would you do that? Cockroaches are filthy, disgusting. Like, and we don't need any more of them outside. They'll just keep trying to come in. And I was like, I don't know. I can't, aside from the fact that that's a really big thing to kill. Like, that would be a very big crunch. I could not do that. I've never done that. Also, I don't know. Like, I don't want to hang out with a cockroach, but I also don't, like, he's just living his cockroach life. He hasn't done anything wrong. I don't want to kill him. It's not his fault he wandered in here. Anyways, I understand that this all makes me sound, perhaps more than slightly crazy. And I am when it comes to animals. So the whole point of that was that he has been relentless about trying to get me to watch March of the Penguins. And I knew that I was going to cry, period. Even if, let's say, nothing sad happened throughout the whole entire documentary. I also knew that that was not possible. A documentary about penguins in like the Arctic, like there's going to be penguins dying. There's going to be predators. I know there's going to be things. And he was like, well, I'll warn you and tell you to cover your eyes and your ears, which he does anyways when we watch movies. And I can tell something like hunting. I'm going to like see a deer get killed, which, yes, guys, I know it's fake in the movie. It still hurts my heart. I don't know. He wore me down. I finally said, fine. And he put it on, and it was on for like 3.5, 4 minutes. And he's excited, like making commentary about it. And then he kind of like turns to look at me and has like shocked look on his face. Like, what? You're already crying? And I'm just sitting there just like silently crying. Nothing sad has happened. It's just showing these amazing, weird little birds living in the snow. Needless to say, I cried for the entire, 90 minutes. And I just grabbed what was ever nearby to like be drying my eyes and blowing my nose. It was paper towels. Paper towels aren't soft generally. And so I'm just wiping my eyes for an hour and a half while crying. The next morning I woke up and I was like, I thought I had pink eye. I don't know that I've ever had pink eye actually, but I thought I had pink eye because both of my eyes were so bright red, so painful, and starting to like peel on top of my lid and underneath. And then I realized, no, you're just an idiot and got sunburn on your eyelids. Nowhere else. I don't really sunburn. Like I tan pretty much immediately. But I got sunburn on my eyelids and then cried for 90 minutes and used like scratchy paper towels to wipe my eyes. So I'm such a fool that I almost deserve the sunburnt, peeling, painful eyeballs. So that happened. And once that happened, I was kind of like debating doing the podcast or not. Mark wasn't at work. Monday and Tuesday wasn't feeling fantastic. And so I was kind of like, well, let's just make it like a Henry weekend, long weekend, whatever. And then the sunburned eyelids. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm laying on the couch with a cold compress on my eyes. So there you go. There's 12 minutes of what happened to my eyelids this weekend. Thank you for listening to my podcast. No, but we had a very, very nice weekend and I just decided not to do it. That I wasn't going to take several hours out of my Monday and Tuesday to do this. And I was instead going to spend it with family time. And Henry thoroughly enjoyed it all. We did a lot of cooking and a lot of, what did we watch? We watched a lot of shows. And you know what we did? We also, aside from watching TV, I didn't really look at I didn't bring my phone with me when we went to the grocery store 800 times. I didn't like look at my phone. I didn't look at my phone, and he never looks at his phone. And so it was kind of like, I didn't check my email. So it was like unplugging, except for the TV. We definitely leaned into TV and watched several shows. We watched The Outsider on HBO. I'd seen it years ago. Really good. If anybody hasn't seen that, spooky crime thriller, a little bit supernatural, which I don't love, but really interesting. Good show. Jason Bateman's in it. And I can't remember what else, but if it comes to me, I'll let you know. So that was the weekend. It was very nice. And that is my long apology for not putting out the episode, but I'm trying to find a balance. Aren't we all always trying to find a balance? Who isn't trying to find a balance between like work and, personal life or kids and marriage or, all the many things that we have to balance. And I know I've talked about on here that my mind keeps wandering to like, what is my purpose? And I'm going to die. And some, I don't want to say dark stuff, but just maybe introspective stuff and existential. And my mind has been over time. I guess it does feel a little dark to me. I'm questioning my life and life choices and I don't like it. So I'm trying to, I was, after my mom died, I was really, and after the initial grieving, I was really good at living in the moment, like like almost maybe to a negative degree, where I like blocked out any worry or concern or planning or anything for like the future, the distant future or the immediate future. And I think there's also a balance that needs to happen there. So, I'm trying to like get back to that, to just being in this day and this moment and not panicking about my job, career, money, those types of things, which are all important things. And so that's what, does this sound like a justification? Does this sound like a long excuse / justification? It might be. I don't know anymore. But I definitely lived in the long weekend moment. And I'm not often able to do that because I work for Jim. Jim happens to be out of town right now. So I'm more able to have a little bit of more flexibility and freedom in my schedule. Anywho, I went to the doctor today, guys. And I know you don't need to know everything that I do and every thought that comes into my head. But I haven't been to the doctor, like just a primary care doctor in person in, I don't know, a decade, perhaps. And there's no real reason for that, because I had insurance for a while. I don't now, and that's why I haven't been now to the doctor or the dentist. And I'm really kicking myself for not going to the dentist when I had health insurance with Cavalry. That is neither here nor there. But finally I decided I was seeing a doctor on this app called Circle Medical app. And I didn't love it. I mean, I'm old. I feel like I need to see somebody. I want to see someone in person. I want the doctor to like take my blood pressure, listen to my heart, see me in the eyes, like look in my face. But I just always assumed it would be completely unaffordable without insurance. Plus, it's really hard to find a primary care doctor. Like, has anybody tried to get a primary care doctor lately? They're booking like 6 months. I called, I don't know, 20 doctor's offices here. They're all booking months out just for like a basic, like, hi, I'd like to be your new patient. Here's my medical history. Thanks so much. Bye. That's it. Ridiculous. So that, plus the fact that I assumed it would be too expensive, pushed me to this app called the Circle Medical app. For a while, I really liked it. And my doctor that I spoke to and met with on there was lovely. I appreciated that she was able to prescribe me like my regular asthma medication, some blood pressure medication, ADD medication. Like, she could prescribe me everything. I didn't have to see a million different doctors. But because it was telehealth, it was like to get any I had to meet with her every month to get any prescriptions refilled, which became very expensive and ridiculous. I did it because I needed the medications. And then they started like, I don't know, they didn't bill me, I guess, at the time of an appointment, like 8 months ago, 9 months ago. And then they suddenly billed me for 3 appointments all at once last month because my card's just on file. Well, you can't do that. Like, I need a heads up. I don't have like thousands of dollars in my bank account where you can just charge me for multiple appointments without telling me. Anyways, I've been fighting with them over it because I think it's wrong. You don't need to know all this. Long story short, I was over it. I wanted to see a real doctor. Mark got a recommendation from his brother. He got in to see this doctor the same week. I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. Sure enough, got in to see them the same week. And everyone in that office was so lovely. I'm going to say the name, I guess. Push Ridge Family Medicine is what it's called up on La Cholla. And everyone was so lovely, from the lovely women at the front to the nurse to the doctor that I saw. And I can't explain it. Maybe it's being 40 or older, But seeing a doctor in person who like takes the time to talk to you and hear about your medical history or any concerns. I don't really have any concerns right now, except for like my, tooth, my dead tooth. I don't know if it's actually dead, guys. Don't get too grossed out. It might just be a cavity. Who knows? We'll never know because I'm not going to the dentist right now. But I just wanted to establish care with a new doctor. And she was so wonderful. And like back in the day when I did see a primary care doctor, they were there just for like maybe blood pressure and possibly asthma stuff. But in terms of like sorry for the male listeners, but like a gynecological, like a yearly pap smear or breast exam or whatever, I had to go see a gynecologist. And for ADD medication or antidepressants or anything else, I had to go see a psychiatrist. And for advanced asthma care, I had to see a pulmonologist. So I'm like, I had all of those doctors at one point in life. This woman does all of it. Did a yearly pap smear exam, is able to give me all of the different medications, and I don't have to see her every month to do it. I was just like blown away, and she was awesome. I liked her a lot. So if anybody is looking for a primary care doctor in the Tucson area and you can't get an appointment, I highly recommend Jennifer Gomez. Mark saw somebody else in the office, but she was wonderful, and it's at Push Ridge Family Medicine up on La Cholla. So it was such a lovely experience. And it was, I'm not going to say cheap, but as a self-pay person, it was, well, I can just tell you, it was $180. That feels reasonable-ish to me. So, and what I also realized while I was there, and this is why I wrote this down and why I actually am telling you, is that I've got to find a job where I deal with people at least part-time. Because I found myself talking to the woman at the front for like 15 minutes. And I felt so happy and excited afterwards, which shouldn't be a shock because I do know, or I have learned about myself, that I'm energized by other people. Like being around other people, talking to other people, collaborating with other people, it energizes me. And I guess I never realized that about myself because I don't know why. We're not going to go down that path. I take it back. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm one of those like lonely people who spends all day alone and then goes and like talks to like the guy checking you out at the grocery store for way too long. That's who I've become because I was thoroughly enjoying my conversation with the woman at the front and I didn't get her name. So doing this does fulfill that need a little bit, although not quite because people aren't able to like immediately talk back, which I don't like. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look into doing something where I can interact with people at least a little bit part-time. And we'll see. Is anybody else like that? Like, I feel like, because Mark's like, I'm definitely not like that, which I think is actually a lie. I think he's just not like that maybe at work, but he loves being around other people and you cannot get him to shut up when he meets people. Jenna is not like that. I know that. She's not like that. She gets, because we've talked about it, she gets energized from, just being by herself. And I think I get depressed being by myself all day long, Well, so far I have told you about my weekend, the doctor, and we're moving very quickly back into me talking about all of the things that are going on in my head lately. And I don't want to do that because this is already 25 minutes long. And I want to, first of all, Sean, Human GPS, thank you for your email. Don't tell, our Human GPS sent me a picture, a photograph to email. And he said, guess where I'm at? And I feel like I should know it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, wait, is it something from one of the stories I've told? But I have to go back and look and I don't know yet. So please don't tell me. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I did open up Instagram yesterday or today and saw a lot of messages that have not been responded to, and I immediately closed it. So if you have written in the past week or two, I'm getting there. I'm baby stepping my way. I don't know why it's such a fucking big deal to me, the Instagram, because all I do is, like, if you've messaged me on Instagram, you know, generally you're getting a voice message back because I'm not going to type up everything. And if I use voice dictate, I don't know if I like slur my words or what, but Siri never gets it right. So I don't know why it's such a big deal to me, because I like sending voice messages. I like talking clearly. I can't stop talking. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do that this afternoon. But now, before we get to our crime story, and let me make a note to myself to put in the show notes. Put in show notes. Time of crime. See, now a podcaster that is more professional at this juncture than me would have cut that out. They'd finish recording, then go back and cut that out. I am not going to. I've decided that I'm going to justify it by calling this like real life like I'm not cutting out all the deep breaths that I take, or the ums, or when the dogs bark, or none of it. It's just like you're sitting here. I'm actually sitting in my family room right now. I get real sick of working in the same spot. So for a while I had this like riser on the kitchen table, and the kitchen table is like in the kitchen. And I would work standing up there. I did that for a really long time. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So then I moved into my office, and I would work at the desk on my office. And then I just kind of got sick of that. And I really just wanted to be in the middle of the family room. So I had this like avocado green little folding table, and I just set it up, and I'm sitting on my yoga ball in the middle of the family room. The perks of working from home alone. It's not really a perk, but I am sitting here like in workout gear in the middle of my family room barefoot. So I guess it is a perk. Okay, back to the matter at hand. Josephine. I'm not going to say her last name, but Josephine sent me an email. And let me just say to you, Josephine, if you're listening, I don't know if you listen to the mini crime story. Well, you do. You said you did. A lot of people don't listen to the bonuses. So some of these shout outs that I've given like fall flat because the person who I'm shouting out isn't there. But if you're listening, Josephine, I love you. Like I've actually only listened to the first spooky story, which was like spooky story, but she also, I'm going to switch back from talking directly to you, Josephine, to everyone else. So she also shared about herself and her life a bit before getting into the first spooky story that she shared. And I was just like so jazzed up after listening to it that I said to myself, you got to get on the microphone right now and start recording. Like I have that much interesting things to say. God. Although Micah wrote on Patreon, I wish I had it right in front of me. She said, Margot, can you please stop saying, I don't know if anyone's still listening. I bet no one's listening at this point. Like at the end of one of my long rambling rants, she was like, because then I feel like an idiot because I'm always still listening. I thought that was very fair point. And so I'm not going to do that. But Josephine, thank you so much. I have so many things that I want to say to you, and I guess I should probably reserve them. You said you messaged me on Instagram. I truthfully don't know off the top of my head if I've responded to you ever on Instagram. And if I haven't, I'm sorry. And I will. But don't be offended. I haven't responded to anybody. And she also sent me some pictures of her beautiful pets that she talks about, some who are no longer with us. And I don't want to share too much personal information about her, but sent me some lovely pictures. So she's in Tennessee, but originally from Utah. And so, you're going to like today's spooky crime mini story. And you might even be able to add some information to it, but we're not there yet. And so she said that she was alone. She's usually with her husband. Did I just say I'm not going to share too much personal information? And here we go. But no last name. So Josephine, if any of this that I'm sharing is bothersome to you, just email me, because I'll see that faster. And I can cut it out. So she said she usually drives with her husband home from work, but he wasn't with her this day. And so she was just going to talk to me on her drive home. And she kept doing what I assume is exactly what I do. Like, she was like, oh my gosh, this is so rambly. And like her thoughts were kind of like, honestly, a lot more streamlined than mine are. But, definitely like it was stream of consciousness, which is essentially what I've done here today and what I've done by myself for weeks at this point, months. And I loved it. I don't think I've ever listened to a podcast necessarily like, I've never listened to one person just jabbering on by themselves. I'm not saying that Josephine jabbers on. I'm saying that I jabber on. I listen to Justin Long, but it's him and his brother, whatever other ones. But I really liked it. It felt like she was like right here with me, telling me about herself and her story. So I now understand a little bit more if people like and or listen to this. Me. It made sense. And it felt very personal. Like, I feel like I know you now, Josephine. And I really like you. So, and it was just funny that she said, I'm just going to ramble on my car ride. And I literally just did that on Patreon yesterday. And I do it on Patreon all the time. Well, usually at least once a week, I just do a rambling talking walk or a rambling talking drive. And, so it made me laugh. What else? I took notes. So I'm looking at my notes here. She also mentioned something that I thought was really interesting. I'd love to hear other people's feedback on this as well. At the end of one of the recent episodes I did, I talked about like, what's the sweet spot? I think she's right. I think it was part 3. What's the sweet spot for a podcast? From a producer angle, when I was producing multiple shows at a time, I'm going off of statistics and, studies that have been done. And who knows if any of that is actually realistic. Saying that it's, 30 to 40, 45 minutes. But she mentioned that she listens to something called Small Town Murder, which I actually have seen the cover art for, because, and this is judgy, but like the cover art is kind of, it's like not very eye-catching. The font is small. I am judgy when it comes to like aesthetics of things. I don't know why. I'm not like an interior designer or anything. I have no justification for it, but I am. And I would see that cover art for Small Town Murder and think, oh, it's a small podcast. Like, it's not a very popular podcast. I couldn't be more wrong. Fucking idiot I am. No, it's hugely popular. I've never listened to it, but I'm going to try it out. But she said the episodes are 3 hours long and that it works for them the way that they tell a story. And I think that's a really good way to look at it, that it depends on the podcast and podcaster. And some, like Rogan obviously does multiple hour long podcasts. So that is good insight. Thank you for sharing that. And I wrote down other notes about things I wanted to respond to, but I feel like it's kind of unfair to everyone listening to just share little snippets but not share a whole story. So I'll just say this. I am sorry for the hard things that you went through. I'm going to get choked up. And Josephine was telling me just about her life a little bit and got a little bit choked up, which surprised me that I got choked up. It's so sad to hear people be sad. You know, I mean, in movies and stuff, I guess it's totally different. But like, I don't know Josephine any more than I know somebody on a movie who's crying, but they're acting. Yeah, I get it. I got there. See, I got there on my own. It's different, but it broke my heart. It made me choked up, and it was weirdly a reminder, not that anyone needs to be reminded, but that you never know what people are going through, and everyone's going through stuff. Like, everyone is going through something, loss or changes in their life, or, you know, a million billion things. And just, I wish we could all just be more aware and kind and compassionate about that, because everyone is hurting in some way, I feel like. Okay, let's not go down this rabbit hole. I know. That's all. Anyways, overall, thank you, Josephine. I'm going to listen to the rest of your spooky stories. And I did email to see if, well, you can just check your email. And anybody else, if you have any spooky stories, it doesn't have to be like a murderer. I mean, I guess I hope it's not a murder. Let's hope that nobody has any murder stories that they want to share. But just even like creepy or just weird, anything like that, I'd be interested to hear them. And then I would love to share them on the podcast, you know, so yeah. And the last thing is that I have been talking about doing a like cocktail meetup here in Tucson with whoever's in Tucson and wants to do that. It is not like it's not like a Death by Southwest necessarily, except for the fact that I host Death by Southwest, and that's how whoever comes would have known about me, I guess. But like, we're not gonna like, we don't have to, nor do I want to like sit and talk true crime. I mean, I'm open to talk about whatever anybody wants. Anyways, sometimes I annoy myself with the explaining. It's still so fucking hot here. Like, it was 105 this weekend. So going and, I don't know, just sitting outside somewhere feels more fun to me. But I don't want to sit outside anywhere right now. We're getting there. Like, I think by the end of October, it looks like it's supposed to get down to maybe the high 80s during the day. So I feel like then, okay, we could probably do that. But if not, maybe early November. I just feel like sitting outside would be nice. And I'm not willing to do that at the moment. Oops, sorry, guys. I was just moving my notebook across my folding table in the middle of the living room, family room, whatever. Mark and I went to a place this weekend that I'd never been. We just wanted to get an appetizer and a glass of wine. It was called Postino. Wow. Yum with the bruschetta. They make like a bunch of different kinds of bruschetta. It was delicious. That's all I'm going to say about it. It might be a fun place for us to meet. But yeah, so anybody who wants to come, start thinking end of October, beginning of November. I'm undecided if I'm going to invite Mark to come. Like I said, Jenna, will not come to this, at least this first one. Very possible that she'll come in the future. Mark would be great to come because he always makes me feel more comfortable in situations if I feel nervous, and he has a never-ending, he has an ability to have a conversation with anyone about anything. Forever. So we'll see. Okay. That's it. Now, all right. So we're at 40 minutes. Good grief. I'm not going to say it, Micah. I'm not going to say if you're still listening, what's wrong with you? I'm going to say if you're still listening, thank you. I love you. Okay. So this story, that I'm going to talk about today. It's a weird one. It takes place in Tennessee. And it's not necessarily a story about anything. It's about a place. And I don't know how I've never heard of this place, but I haven't until now. And there is way more information that I'm out there than I'm going to share with you today. I went through, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 articles, a couple of Reddits, like Reddit posts and responses. There is a documentary on Hulu about it. I decided not to watch it before doing this. I don't know why. I didn't want to watch it yet. I just wanted to, I don't know, share this, and then we'll do a follow-up after I watch it, probably tomorrow. So it's called McKamey Manor, and it is a haunted attraction. It's known for its extreme survival horror experiences. And all right, I'm going to try and hold my shock and awe for a little bit longer. I can't hold it. I cannot believe that a place like this exists. All right, let me tell you what it is, in case you've never heard of it. And if you have heard of this, I'd love to know what you know. Or like, how'd you find out about it? Did you watch the documentary? Just came out last year. This place has been around since 2010 at least, 2015. Started in San Diego and was founded by a guy named Russ McKamey. He initially ran this haunted survival horror experience from his own house, like his own property. I think he had a back house or something. Or he built something on he used to do it on his property, basically. And so I'm going to just give you an overview, then we're going to get into some details. So in 2017, he moved this to Tennessee. There was a reason for this. Hold on. Okay. So he wanted to make it a more commercial venture in San Diego. He wanted to stay in San Diego, but San Diego's, they have certain regulations that prevented this. And so then apparently he was going to move it to Illinois, but people were protesting it. So he ended up in 2017 moving it to Tennessee. Apparently an additional location is or did open in Huntsville, Alabama. McKamey Manor, that's what it's called. McKamey Manor runs all year long. So it's not just Halloween time, and offers tours that can last up to 8 or 10 hours. Okay. So imagine me, I'm thinking haunted house, even some of the most, I haven't been to a haunted house in years, mostly because of my claustrophobia. My claustrophobia is especially bad in pitch black. I don't know, maybe that's just being scared of the dark, but it feels like pitch black, like where you can't see in front of your face. It feels like, everything is closing in on me and I panic. I can't handle it. And most haunted houses have at least some period of time with complete darkness. There's one here in Tucson called Slaughterhouse that I've never been to because it's supposed to be pretty extreme. And I told Mark, let's go. And he doesn't want to go with me because he's afraid I'm going to freak out if there's pitch blackness, which I'm sure there is. But my response to him was I know, I'll just, you just guide me through. I'll close my eyes through the pitch blackness, and the rest of it it's pretend. So it's fine. I'm not actually scared. I'm not actually going to get harmed. That has never bothered me really about haunted houses. Anyways, so I'm thinking that this is just maybe a slightly more extreme version of your basic haunted house. Even a really scary one. They had one in Chicago where I went as a teenager, and it was, it was intense. It was scary. No shit. A haunted house was scary. So that's what I was thinking this is when I first started reading about it. No. Guests must sign a detailed liability waiver before participating, acknowledging that they could face intense physical and psychological challenges. For a long while, you couldn't leave the haunted house without completing challenges and without like the people who worked there letting you leave. And there was no safe word. So you just literally were at the will of these other people. You essentially sign your rights away, and they can kind of do, I can't even say within reason. I'll keep going. But apparently now there are safe words. Safe words are allowed. So clearly, like no surprise, this place has faced a lot of controversy and apparently a lot of media attention and criticism. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a documentary on Hulu. Where the fuck have I been? So the tour lasts between 8 to 10 hours, but no one has ever completed it, which, as I learned more, and as you will learn more in a minute, of course no one has. It's designed so that you can't complete it. Apparently there's a waiting list of over 24,000 people because he changes it apparently based on the people. He does it every weekend, I believe. And only a handful of people at a time participate in this. And apparently the types of challenges and torture and things that happen are geared specifically to those participants' fears and phobias and things like that, which is like, who the fuck would want to do this? So for a long time, there were no safe words. You couldn't exit. You couldn't physically leave this place. Now there are safe words that allow you to leave at any point. The latest version of this experience apparently is called Desolation. It lasts 10 hours and offers a $20,000 prize for completing it. But $500 is deducted from the prize for every failed challenge or every instance of profanity, because Russ McKamey has, I guess, a puritanical streak. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't drink coffee, and he does not cuss. And there's no nudity or sexual suggestion in the manor, as they call it. Weird. So during the tour, participants may face physical assault by employees, waterboarding, being forced to eat or drink unknown substances, being bound and gagged, and potential drugging and other forms of physical and psychological torture. A volunteer guide shared that participants must sign a 40-page waiver outlining possible risks, and some of those risks include tooth extraction, tattoos being applied, fingernail removal. And we're going to talk about one woman who went in, who they shaved her head. Like, and those are just, this was in like a, this wasn't like on Reddit that I found. This was like in a newspaper article. So I guarantee these are not even the worst of the things that are happening there. What? Who signs a waiver to go into a haunted house for 8 hours where they might pull your teeth out or your fingernails or force you to eat unknown stuff, like anything, or drug? I mean, it blows my mind how this is allowed. And it also blows my mind the people who do this, who want to do this. So I'm going to talk about a couple people. There's this article in The Guardian. It's from 2015. So I'm assuming things have changed perhaps at this place since then. I'm sure they have. And I have some more recent information. But this was a great article. And here we go. I'm not going to read you the article, but I'm going to give you some of the obviously I'm not going to read you the article. Anyways, so one of the employees, and I'm saying that with air quotes, Andrew Sweeney, he's 6'5", has a thick beard, wears like a tattered, stained shirt and a mask over his face with eye holes cut in. He kind of looks like the author described him as like a sinister lumberjack. And he told the author of this article, which real-time podcasting right here, guys. Let me find that author's name. Rory Carroll and May Ryan from San Diego. It's interesting. The Guardian has a big highlighted thing at the top. It says this article is more than 8 years old. So apparently that's telling me that some of it might not be relevant. But I based on the more recent information, some of it is very relevant. So Andrew Sweeney, one of the employees, told Rory, who's the author, said, quote, "I go hard on the big guys." He says that he has 3 kids, a partner, and 6 dogs, and working at this experience and being one of the torturers is a great de-stressor. The tools that he likes to use include plastic restraints, a rope, and a sturdy plastic bag that fits snugly over someone's head. What? Another employee, or who knows if they still are, Ryan Lawrence, has a beard, nose ring, tattoos with lots of webs and skulls and a horned devil. He paints his face in all white paint with dark rings around his eyes, and he calls himself the Enforcer. His job is apparently to make sure that no one makes it out, and he admits that he doesn't really have a line. There's no line to cross for him. So there are apparently about half a dozen people who work there that are kidnappers and torturers. They are volunteers who originally were guests, and now they've returned to inflict suffering onto other people. Honestly, at this point when I was reading about it still, I was like, this has to be a joke. But no, it's not. Of course, there's tons of critics and backlash on social media. There's the Truth About McKamey Manor Facebook group where people continue to argue that people are recklessly endangered, that the people who work there are not properly trained or informed about the risks, such as dry drowning or lung damage. They don't know how to handle situations like panic attacks, or if people are made to be unconscious. Unreal. So the kidnappers, because that's how, if you're volunteering to go be a participant, they tell you to be at a certain place at a certain time, and you don't know what's going to happen, but then they kidnap you, essentially. I did read that they alert the local authorities that that's happening and that it's like a staged kidnapping. But it's a non-profit, apparently. There are a few people who are participants each weekend, and this is the one thing I do like. McKamey Manor only accepts payment in the form of dog food. Now, in my head, that's for their actual pet dogs. But maybe now that I'm reading that, it's to actually feed the volunteers. I don't know. And when this article was written, they did not have safe words. There was a documentarian who was working on a documentary about haunted attractions, and he said, quote, "This manor gave me actual nightmares. It's the only one that exists where you don't decide when to quit," which, becomes a real issue when people are bound and masked, held underwater, slapped, stomped on, or even forced to eat their own vomit. So Russ McKamey, the creator, owner of McKamey Manor, said, quote, Everyone is so blasé about what happens in the world. They need a safe release. It's about creating a cinematic experience and making people feel they're living their own horror movie. Movies can't fool us anymore. It's really hard to get emotions out of people. It's a survival horror boot camp. It's an individualized tour that goes through and is based upon an individual's phobias and fears. So every show is different and it's very psychological. It's something that's going to test you physically and test you mentally to the utmost. So Russ McKamey, he spent about 23 years in the Navy. And when he left the Navy, he had a single-story detached house in San Diego, and he started hosting Halloween haunts for kids around the year 2000. And gradually it became more intense, rougher, and then became for adults only. And then he began filming it. He began filming the whole thing from start to finish when people would enter and all the torture that would go on, and then posting it online. So initially when he was posting some of the things that he was filming, he said, quote, "We were pretending to cut people's hair, but YouTube critics said, yeah, fake. So thanks to the naysayers, we had to ramp it up and bring more reality to it. Every year it's got more crazy, more aggressive. We wouldn't be infamous if we weren't able to deliver the product. The product is 100% fear. We're good at it. We're the best at it. And pretty soon it becomes real. There's no break. It's nonstop. The whole goal is to get you exhausted so we have better control over you." And then what happens, he says, is, as a film director, everything I'm doing is geared towards capturing magic Kodak moments, which in reality is like close-up filming of screaming, throwing up, crying, begging, occasionally, and the article says occasionally with a cockroach or tarantula scurrying across your face. And the punishment escalates if you curse or swear because of his weird no cursing, no smoking, drinking, whatever. He describes it as a live theatrical performance. And in this article, he really emphasized that it's not real. He says, quote, "If people were really hurt, we'd be shut down. It's smoke and mirrors." But it's not. I mean, there is real violence. You are confined in various contraptions and different things. You are forced to eat disgusting things that you don't want, like your own vomit. You are choked. And I'm going to get more into that. So before McKamey went into the Navy, he majored in theater studies. So he's, really into this whole theatrical performance, which I think is a real bullshit description of this. He was laid off from the Navy. I don't even know what that means. And then, that's when he started doing this, wanted to make it more commercial. That's why he moved it to Tennessee. So this article, Rory, the author of this article, observed apparently 3 participants who had signed up for this and were told to arrive in a parking lot with a park nearby. They were apparently wearing onesies, and then they are they're abducted. Fake but real. So one of the 3 participants was Christina Buster. She was wearing a Scooby-Doo onesie. She's pale and thin, and she previously tried going through McKamey Manor during a break from her job as a logistical analyst in Kuwait. And the last time she tried to do McKamey Manor, she lasted 5 minutes before she became so incredibly hysterical that Russ McKamey pulled her out. But she has now returned. She says she's nervous and scared, and she's probably going to regret it, but she wants to push herself. Do not understand. I do not understand. Spencer Kane, 19. He's another participant in this group that the author, Rory, of this article was observing. He's wearing a pink onesie with donut images. He worked as an actor at McKamey Manor the year before, but now he's in school hoping to become a DEA agent. His goal is to be featured in a potential McKamey Manor reality show. And finally, Beth Hipple, a nursing student. She wears a beige teddy bear onesie. She posted on Facebook that she wanted to put herself to the test at McKamey Manor before she could speak, I guess, to Rory, the author. McKamey and his team, they were all wearing balaclavas and marched these three, which was the group who was participating this weekend, into a secluded wooded area. Now, the author and his colleague, May Ryan, they went the previous afternoon, previously to these three people being taken and going through McKamey Manor. They had asked Russ McKamey, can we do it, but we want to do like a real toned down version of it. So McKamey agreed, and he had one assistant with him. They wore apparently zombie contact lenses, taped balaclavas to their head, to Rory and May's heads, the participants, the authors of this article. Is this confusing, guys? I hope it's not. Sorry. So they taped balaclavas to Rory and May's head and forced them to crawl through what they called a rat run. It was a maze of small metal cages. And Rory wrote this. He said, "My sequential thoughts over the course of approximately 10 minutes were as follows. This balaclava is hot and smelly and I can't see anything. This is kind of scary and kind of exciting. I should be chivalrous and let May win and take the punishment myself. It's very hot and cramped and I'm snagged on something. I got to get out of here. Sorry, May. I can't get out. Fuck this. I can't breathe. I can hardly breathe or move. Fuck this. Let me out." And then he said that last part was verbalized, like, let me out. So apparently this is then what he observed happened to those three participants that I just told you about. And what blows my mind is this is what happened. This is like the intro. This is before they signed the waiver, which does not make sense to me. I don't know how that's allowed. Again, this was written in 2015, so who knows? But Christina Buster, the one in the Scooby-Doo onesie, who worked as a logistical analyst in Kuwait, one of the tormentors is screaming at her. Apparently, she's an older woman. I don't have her exact age, but one of the tormentors says, "Why have you come back, Grandma?" Shoves her face into like murky water in the ground, yanks her out by the hair and plunges her face back in. Another tormentor is doing similar things to Beth, and two tormentors are focused on the 19-year-old Kane. They are smacking and slapping him and pulling his hair out in tufts and ramming a soiled rag into his mouth while he gasps for air and his eyes bulge. They are then dragged one at a time in front of Russ McKamey, who is filming them, and as they read the waiver out loud. So clause 20 in the waiver, participant agrees that there is no quitting unless serious physical or psychological injury is present. Clause 25, participant fully understands that at many times they will be in a panic state of anxiety in which they will feel that they will drown and they may die. Those are just two of the clauses in this 40-page waiver. I would like to find more. I honestly, I did the research thus far. I still have a little bit more to tell you guys. And then I was like, I have to tell somebody about this. So I would like to go down the rabbit hole of this and find more. I'm certain there is, and then come back with it. So all three of them signed the waiver after having their face shoved in muddy water in the ground and being choked and slapped and having their hair pulled out. Christina Buster, later on in this torture, they shave her head. They tie her to a chair and shave her head. she's screaming, help, help, help. No one comes to help her, and she has no hair after this. Apparently the 19-year-old Kane, Spencer Kane, after about 3 hours, he's in a straitjacket, and I don't know if he gave up or what, but they like dumped him onto a sofa. They peeled masking tape off of his face. It was covering his face. His face was bruised, swollen. He's crying. He has bald patches all over his scalp, and he's crying, "Please, Russ, I'm done. Please." So Russ McKamey puts the camera down, and no, he puts the camera close and asks for his verdict. And Spencer can barely focus. He's just crying, no, it's horrible. I like, so there's another article. This I am going to read what happened to this woman directly from it. Her name is Laura Hertz Brotherton. She came forward in 2016 claiming that McKamey purposely made her tour more torturous because he found out that she was having an affair. So he was like trying to punish her. She wasn't having an affair on him. Like, she didn't even know this man. She just signed up to do this. And some, I guess they researched the victims or participants before they do it. And he found out that she was having an affair. After she got done being at the McKamey house, she drove herself to the hospital due to treatment. She says, "I was waterboarded. I was tased. I was whipped. I was repeatedly hit in my face as hard as a man could hit a woman." Russ McKamey said, sorry, you agreed to this. You agreed to a no safe word policy, meaning that the tormentors or actors could continue. I hate that they could continue the haunt even when guests didn't want to. It's not a haunt. If you're being punched in the face like full force by a man or a woman, whoever, that's not a haunt. That's torture. It may be torture that you agreed to, but that's torture. But Russ McKamey says that participants are not only warned multiple times, they signed the waiver, they're also vetted through various means. They have to go through a long screening process. You have to have a sports physical that's current. You have to have a background check, a mental evaluation. He says this is a game. This is solely for entertainment. So you don't ever want to hurt somebody physically or mentally. I don't understand. And that is where I'm the most confused. And perhaps I need to do more research on this. But he's said that a few times in several different articles. We don't want to hurt anybody physically or mentally. But you literally are pulling people's hair out, waterboarding them, punching them in the face. They're bleeding. They're bruised. I don't understand. So a 2023 Hulu documentary, it's called Monster Inside America's Most Extreme Haunted House. It brought more controversy, more attention to the controversy, and apparently featured 5 people who had formerly participated in this, and included footage from each of their tours, as it's called. Is that a weird word to say? Tours. All right. Sorry. So several of them claim that there was no way to stop the tour, even though, so at this point, there are safe words. Footage that they shows the participants being dragged by chains, stuck in confined spaces while water is poured in. So you're in a small space and it's being filled with water. Of course, there are tons of people who are against McKamey Manor. There have been thousands of people who've signed petitions. Authorities have been called to the property several times. And in March of 2018, so going back a little bit further, a criminal investigator from the district attorney's office interviewed McKamey, and I was getting ahead of myself. So in October 2023, so last year, shortly after the Hulu documentary came out, the Tennessee Attorney General sent a letter to Russ McKamey and requested documents and information about the claims that some of these past participants had made. I'm assuming the ones certainly in the documentary and then probably others. The Attorney General was raising concerns about the business practices at McKamey Manor, and particularly allegations that participants can't end their tour and there's no way to actually win the $20,000 prize. In response, Russ McKamey filed a 32-page lawsuit against the Tennessee Attorney General, claiming that his request violated Russ's First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights. He argued that the Attorney General was trying to stop him from engaging in lawful conduct on his private property. And McKamey requested a preliminary injunction to prevent the Attorney General and his agents from enforcing the information request. McKamey is apparently also suing Hulu over the documentary, which is interesting because I would have assumed that he was involved in the documentary. Like, dude. Well, I guess it's not showing McKamey Manor in a positive light. I'm kind of scared to watch it, honestly. I hate gore, and I don't know. I'm intrigued, but I'm a little bit terrified to watch it. But despite all of this, despite the Attorney General requesting information, McKamey suing Hulu, and in turn, suing the Attorney General, it's still open, apparently. Yeah, it's... Oh, okay. On their website, if you can believe it, I didn't actually go to the website because I was like, I want to see what everyone else is saying. But McKameyManor.com is the website. And yeah, it's still open. It says McKamey Manor presents Descent. Survival horror just got personal. And then it says playing on Netflix, Dark Tourist Episode 8 and Haunters, The Art of the Scare. I've seen The Dark Tourist. I don't know what he's talking about. Interesting. So for your safety, you must meet basic requirements. 21 and above, or you could be 18, 19, or 20 as long as you get your parents' approval. You have to have a sports physical and a doctor's letter stating that you are physically and mentally cleared. Pass a background check. Be screened via Facebook, FaceTime, or phone. Proof of medical insurance. Sign a detailed 40-page waiver. Pass a portable drug test on the day of the show. Wow, there's a lot of movies on here. I'm not going to watch these right now. Obviously, that would be rude. Wow. Okay. Sorry. So, unsurprisingly, the most recent information to come out about this whole thing is not the Hulu documentary. It happened just in July 2024, so just 2-3 months ago. Russ McKamey was arrested for charges including attempted second-degree murder, rape, and domestic assault. I read that headline and immediately was like, oh my God, he took it too far and tried to kill somebody for real. But no, I mean, yes, but it was not one of the participants in the haunted house. It was his girlfriend. So on July 19th, he was arrested at his Somerton home after allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, who was booked into jail on a $1,000 bond in order to have no contact with the victim. But more charges have since been filed. These charges involve him trying to kill his girlfriend on more than one occasion, with the first incident being reported Wednesday, July 17th. In an arrest affidavit, investigators say that McKamey strangled his girlfriend to the point where she was not conscious during a domestic altercation. A second altercation took place on the same day that he was booked into jail. He apparently raped her, strangled her, caused her to lose consciousness another time. And so now charges put his bond at over $100,000. And I have not seen any updates on that. But really? It's awful. terrible. So sad for her. But are we terribly shocked by this? That the man who is running a torture house for over 20 years, where he pulls people's hair and fingernails and teeth out, that he might like maybe have a violent streak, and I don't know, during a fight it might come out. Like, are you kidding? He has children also. Apparently that Guardian article, while Rory was like observing what's happening there at the house and stuff, like in his actual house on the property, the same property as the torture house, he has 3 kids inside watching cartoons. Like, what? I found a lot of responses on Reddit. And again, this is kind of surface level, guys. And I'm sorry, it's not your typical story. It's not like the other mini crime stories I've done. I just am fascinated and horrified by this. And so it felt like it kind of fit into this spooky mini crime story. And there's obviously a lot more stories here, but I wanted to share the like surface information before I go deep in this rabbit hole. And I'd love to know if other people have watched the documentary. If you have been here or if you've driven by it, please contact me. Or if you know anything, if you know people who have done it, I don't know, anything. So this was interesting to me and kind of makes sense. It was a response that, somebody on Reddit responded to a post about McKamey Manor. And said, quote, "I just found this rabbit hole today. Sick shit, really. What makes the most sense, though? The rumor is he live streams it to Vegas and Thailand to make money and for gambling. He digs this, he gets paid, and the joke's on the participant. A bunch of weirdos and sickos are watching." I mean, that's like I feel like that's like a lot of those. Sorry, that this is not him speaking anymore. This is me. That's like a lot of those movies. I won't watch Saw or Jigsaw or I don't know, whatever the other ones are like that, because it makes me weak in the knees to see like body parts getting cut off and stuff and torture like that. I can't do it. So I have never seen them outside of like seeing a trailer, but I feel like I've seen an episode of Criminal Minds where like a girl gets in a torture house. Now this was on network TV, so it wasn't super, super gory, but it was being live streamed to like, some other country where people were paying to watch. And so this person is basically saying it's not about you and your experience, which is what Russ McKamey kind of claims, that like he's letting people conquer their phobias and fears. Also, he comments on the 3 young children in the house that know all about it. Like, what the fuck is going on? Rescue those kids. I agree with that comment. And I have a feeling there's a lot more information on this. And this is just scratching the surface. But I'm dying to know if other people know about this and like what you know about it and your thoughts. And I say it like that because I kind of feel like I would be interested to hear if there's a listener who does know about this and defends this, like thinks this is okay. Sorry guys, I'm thinking in real live time as I'm speaking right now. Like, is it okay? I mean, is this better? Does this help See, I feel like this maybe helps the people who are volunteering to work there, because maybe they are like sadists and just, do have violent streaks, and this allows them. It's not really a controlled environment, but this allows them to express some of those violent tendencies in a way where the person that they're being violent against has agreed to it. I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to hear opinions, any opinions, certainly opinions if there's anybody who can think of a good reason that this type of place exists. And I mean, you really can't argue with that. These people are, nobody's going out and finding these participants and forcing them to do it. They are willingly coming forward and willingly agreeing to this. So I don't know that Russ McKamey is doing anything wrong. Now, if there are safe words and he's not like acknowledging those safe words, he's not like, if my safe word is banana and I say banana and he keeps torturing me, then that is clearly not okay. But if I've agreed to this whole thing, I've signed a waiver, done all the physicals, blah, 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 and I say my safe word and it stops and I'm allowed to leave, I don't know. Is there anything wrong with that? I'm a little bit thinking no. I guess I'm not understanding who would want to do this. And there's lots of things that I don't understand in this world. So let's just add this to the list. But I really don't understand this. I understand if you like pain a little bit, so you go get tattoos, or, I know there are many different people in the world who have many different things that they like that other people might not understand. But being forced to eat your own vomit, having your teeth pulled, like, really? Really? I almost said no judgment, and that I can't even fake it. No, there's judgment there. Like, I would love to get inside your head. No, I'd love to learn about your head if you are someone who wants to do this. In fact, I would love to talk to you on the podcast. If this is something that sounds great to you and you would totally do it and you're willing to talk about it, please let me know. I will have you on next week because I don't understand it at all. Yeah. So that's that. I think I'm going to save the documentary to see if Mark wants to watch it tomorrow. But I am going to watch some of these videos online on the McKamey Manor website right now. Wow. 1 hour and 22 minutes. Well, hopefully Josephine's right. And however long a podcast is, it just depends on the podcast. And this one was very rambly and long. That's it. I think that's it, guys. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't start with this. I said happy Thursday at the beginning of this, and I didn't say happy October. It's my favorite month. Not gonna lie. It's not as fun here in Tucson as it was. Maybe fun's the wrong word. It's not as October-y here as it was in Georgia. By this time, by the beginning of October in Georgia, it wasn't necessarily cold, but it was colder. It was cloudier. The leaves were changing. It was fall. It was fall as I remember it growing up in Chicago. And that is the fall I love. Here, I could put on my bathing suit and go to the pool right now, and sit on a raft with a cocktail, and it would feel like the middle of July. Not super October-y. But I think tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to close all the blinds so I can simulate a dreary day. I'm going to put a little rain sound on in the background, and then put a scary movie on, and then put out my Halloween decorations because I haven't put any out yet. But I love this month. I love Halloween. I want everyone's favorite Halloween movie recommendations. Because every year I really want to watch, I want that feel good Gilmore Girls type Halloween where it's not scary. It's just cozy. And Halloween H2O, the movie, that one feels cozy to me. And I'm drawing a blank on literally any others right now. But please, please, please send me your Halloween movie recommendations, the movie you watch every year, because I've made Mark agree to watch Halloween movies from now until Halloween every single time we're together. And I'm going to make a spooky Halloween dinner tomorrow night, or spooky dinner tomorrow night to put up Halloween decorations with. I don't know what that spooky dinner is yet, so I'll take suggestions on that as well. I don't know. Tell me your favorite. Yeah, I want your favorite Halloween everythings. If you live in or around Tucson, do you go to Slaughterhouse? Have you been to the Haunted Corn Maze? Because I'd like to do both, but I'd love to know more about them. Do you have any spooky Halloween recipes that for like edible food? Why did I say edible food? I guess I meant like not. I don't know what the fuck I meant, guys. I've been talking to myself for an hour and 25 minutes, so who knows? But any recipes that might be good for like a spooky dinner. And then I really would love to know everyone's favorite top 3 Halloween movies that they watch. Not Halloween the franchise, unless that's one of your favorites. Send me an email or a text, because it's going to take me a minute to get through Instagram, and so I probably won't see your message right away. But you can send me an email or a text. I'd really like to be able to tell you what number that is. I'll tell you right now. It is 520-302-5253. And you can literally send a text there, and I can text you back. I believe that's like not my personal phone number. That's my Google Voice number. So I can't answer that phone, but I can see your text and text you back, or you can call and leave a voicemail, and then I can text you back. Or send me an email and please tell me your favorite top 3 Halloween movies. And I know I did not finish the Austin Yogurt Shop Murders. Truthfully, it's a lot. Like, it gets, last week we ended on that the case went cold until 1999. And from 1999 forward, there's a lot of information, and it's very complex. And I want to make sure I'd like to finish it in part 4. And as I have it written now, it's not finished in part 4. So I'm trying to adjust, and then we will finish that one. Do you like a 4-parter? I'm sure you like a 4-parter if it's every week, consistently for 4 weeks, and I don't skip a week, but this is the podcast where you never know what to expect. Are you going to get true crime? Are you going to get breakups and crying? Are you going to get rambling for 90 minutes? You don't know, guys. And who knows what day it'll come out on. I realize that's really bad business practice, and this needs to be looked at as a business. But it's more personal than business to me. This is not my job. This is not a business. This is personal. And once again, I can't remember if I spoke about this on the last episode or mini episode, so I'm not going to. But the Instagram messages that I had seen, as well as a few emails. Yeah, I think I did talk about it, Jess from the UK. Just hearing the people who contact me and say that it helps them. Yeah, I did a whole episode where I talked about this. Okay, never mind. I appreciate you is basically all that I want to say. And still TBD with Jenna. There have been a few more text messages exchanged. I don't know. I'm hopeful. And I know that there's a lot of listeners who would love to have her back, as would I. So we shall see. And you can expect more. I have 3 other spooky mini crime stories. I'm gonna say I don't know. Maybe it'll be Monday. Maybe I'll do it another day. I'm so annoying, guys. Sorry. Okay. How was everyone else's weekend? Nobody ever tells me about their weekend. And maybe that's because there's no easy way to do it. Or perhaps you are telling me about your weekends through Instagram and I'm not checking Instagram. I am going to. But like I said, those text message, to that voice account, it's like so easy because it's like text message is the most convenient and I have it on my phone so I can just check it. And email. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear, Josephine, thank you. And everyone else who writes with feedback and advice and things like that. Thank you. I really like hearing from you guys. So please contact me. Okay. I don't want to go. I feel like I don't know, I don't want to say a friend. I know I have many friends while I'm doing this, but you're not actually listening in real time. I'm just recording this onto my computer right now. But it always feels lonely when I get off of this and hang up. It's like, man, now I'm really just talking to myself. But I'm going to work on some Teachers Pay Teachers products and do a workout video. It's a thrilling life I lead over here, guys. Thrilling life of a podcaster. Okay, that's it. My long-winded goodbyes. Love you all. Hope everyone's doing great. Please send me your movie recommendations. Tell me what you did over the weekend. Give me more Halloween recommendations because this is my favorite month. I mean, I like to celebrate every holiday pretty hardcore. Well, no. I like to celebrate Halloween and Christmas pretty intensely. But Christmas still takes a backseat to this. Don't worry. When we get to Christmas, we're going to be doing scary mini Christmas stories and talking about all the Lifetime movies that I plan to watch. Like a very basic person that I can be. Okay. Love you. Bye.